Welcome in, everyone. This is another episode of Catfish on Ice with your hosts, Chad Minton and Rich Howe. What's up, everybody? We are watching the Nashville Predators take on the Anaheim Ducks right now. And I got to say, it feels like the Preds should be up way more than just 2 goals right now. I don't know about you, Rich. That's how I feel about it.
Like 5-0 is what it ought to be.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to go that high.
Oh, no. Well, it should.
I was going to say like 3 or 4-0 maybe, but yeah, it's definitely been a dominating performance so far. By your Nashville Predators. But the problem is, the old adage goes, the 2-goal lead is the most dangerous lead in hockey, and the Ducks are a very desperate team. They are missing a ton of players tonight, including Trevor Zegras and Ryan Getzlaf. So take that for what it is. Justin Gambino says, I agree with Rich regarding
5-0.
It should be 5-0. Okay, fair enough. Okay. All right. All right. You've talked me into it. It should be 5-0. But instead it's 2-0. And but the Preds have really controlled the whole pace of the game.
Yep.
We are here for you in episode 112 to watch the third period of this game and react to the entire game itself. Go back and look at it. We're going to cover it as we go along here in episode 112. Also going to talk about Tuesday night. I'm not being over dramatic here. That was the most fun I've ever had at a hockey game.
You picked a really good game to go to.
And it wasn't obviously the Preds winning really helped a lot in that, but it really was just an awesome game. So I'm going to kind of talk about that. Tell the story. Of course, my buddy Clayton Stewart, who's a musician in Nashville, who is a diehard Dallas Stars fan. He could do his own podcast on the Dallas Stars, and he would do just fine at it. Like, he knows everything about that team. He's a very knowledgeable hockey fan. He went with me to the game. We continued our best friend tradition, annual tradition of going to a Dallas-Nashville game every year in Nashville. We've also been a couple times in Dallas when the Preds are the road team. The Preds won those games as well. So I remain undefeated in this friendly rivalry. And he's still not Rich, I got to tell you, he's still not taking it so well. Like, he's I think he's in hiding. I don't think he came out of his room for like a whole day.
I get it. I mean, Dallas was playing, it was a tough game, and then Dallas had that lead.
It was a great game.
And then, Preds just took over.
It was a great game, but we called it, Rich. Everyone called it. A lot of people who were previewing this game, we were like, these two teams know each other so well. Yep. It's not always pretty, and it's just a lot of like really grueling, grinded out type of hockey. And if you're looking for a lot of flashy offense, if you're looking for all these crazy highlight reel goals, then don't watch the Preds versus the Stars, because most of the time that does not happen. Yep. That's what happened on Tuesday night. A lot of people said it was a boring game. I don't think it was a boring game. I love that kind of hockey.
It was not boring at all. The end was really incredible. I mean, it was awesome. I loved every minute of it. But like you said, if you're looking for like Michael McCarron to get a hat trick or something, it just wasn't going to happen against Dallas.
We can go ahead and report right now. Rich is breaking the news. Michael McCarron did not follow up his 4-point performance against San Jose with another 4-point performance. He just couldn't pull it off, Rich. We thought he had a chance to maybe do it, but he just couldn't pull it off.
Hey, man, he almost had 2 tonight. Yeah.
Hey, I will say a couple of things on Michael McCarron. He is starting to grow on me. I still don't want him on the playoff roster, but he probably is going to be on the playoff roster if, of course, the Preds make the playoffs. But he is starting to really kind of grow on me a little bit. First of all, 2 things he's done tonight. What you're referencing, how he could have a couple of goals tonight, that was a nice little wrist shot he had.
Absolutely.
And it hit the crossbar, and it kind of ricocheted out. All the fans jumped up thinking it was a goal, but it was not. It clearly did not cross the red line, but that was a good little wrister. I got to give him credit for that. That was sweet. And then he just had a fight to close out the second period. It was one of those traditional drop the gloves, let's size each other up like 2 boxers in a ring. And I thought McCarron held his own. He got a couple shots in.
Hey, I will tell you, those are two big boys fighting right there.
I think, yeah, the only reason
the
fight didn't really get a lot of good hit shots in because they both kind of fell to the ice or whatever and they broke it up. But credit to McCarron, he doesn't back down. He's clearly the tallest person on the ice almost always. But yeah, he's starting to really find his niche in this lineup.
Yeah.
You know, you got to call it what it is.
Yeah. He had two really good chances tonight so far.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So, again, this is episode 112 of Catfish on Ice with Chad Minton and Rich Howe, brought to you by DraftKings. Go get the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use our promo code THPN. We have a really good exclusive offer for you for the NHL, and we will tell you more about that offer later in this episode. Stay tuned for that. But until then, go ahead and get the DraftKings Sportsbook app if you haven't already. All right. And, of course, we are going to also talk about some of the latest trade rumors as they are heating up around the league, of course. I always say it's my favorite time of year. It really is. I mean, I love the playoffs, obviously, in the Stanley Cup, but I love all these trade rumors. Is this player going to go here? These teams are interested in this player. And we've been talking about this, the Preds. Good luck figuring out what they are going to do at the trade deadline.
Yeah, it's that's the big $1 million question is what the Preds are going to do. It's I don't know. I have no idea one way or the other what they could do. So
I don't think anybody does.
I mean, it's honestly just there's just no way.
I don't even know if David Poile knows what he's going to do yet. It's really that complicated. Like, I just got to be honest, it really is. Yeah. And then kind of judging on that, let's go ahead and share our poll question. We'll update it later in the episode as well. Just put a poll question out right before we went live. The Preds roster we're watching tonight is close to what the playoff roster would be if they decide to do nothing at the deadline. The only caveat here, and we did get a response from Barry V on Twitter who made a really good point. He said, A, not if Ben Harpur is on the ice, and B, not if they don't have Philip Forsberg. Very good point there from Barry V.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for the comment on the poll question there. So let me kind of dissect that. So Mark Borowiecki is not in the lineup tonight, and Ben Harpur is in the lineup. So that's your big trade-off there when it comes to your defense. If, indeed, the Preds don't do nothing at the deadline, you've still got Philippe Myers, who has been interchangeable in there, but he's kind of fallen off lately. So unless they decide to just really go bold and call up like a Jeremy Davies who hasn't played hardly all season, I don't see them doing that. This is pretty much your playoff roster unless, as Barry V commented on our poll, unless they ship off Philip Forsberg here in the next 10 days or whatever, however many days we have till the trade deadline. And maybe you take Ben Harpur out for Mark Borowiecki, which I don't think that makes a huge impact at all one way or the other. I do trust Borowiecki more.
I do,
but
yeah.
As far as moving the needle that much, as far as winning a first-round playoff series, don't give it a ton of credence there. Not a huge switch for me. But, let's update the poll question here. We've gotten some good amount of votes already, and we just posted it, so that's cool. It's a pretty tough question to answer, but we said, how comfortable are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that they could pull off a first-round upset with the roster as it sits tonight, as we're watching them play the Anaheim Ducks?
Yep.
Scale 1 to 3, or on a scale of 1 to 10, if your rating is a 1 or to a 3, 17%. So pretty low there. 4 to 6, 37%. 7 or an 8 is all the way up at 78 or 38%. So there is a lot of people who have a lot of confidence in this team right now, judging by our poll results right now. That 7 or 8 rating, and then all the way up, if your confidence level is a 9 or a 10, that this roster right here can pull off a first-round upset, it's only 8%. So really, we're in that middle right there. But I was kind of surprised already to see 38% of our voters have a pretty strong confidence in this team right now.
I was lingering between the 4 to 6 and the 7 to 8 or whatever. Man, when they're playing good, it's definitely a 7 and an 8 for me. Because I mean, they're playing really good tonight. I know the Ducks are missing people, as ESPN has pointed out numerous times, which is really starting to get on my nerves. But I mean, they played well against Dallas. We know how tough Dallas is. They pulled out the win in regulation. When they're buzzing, man, they're good. When they're buzzing,
and that's
really
what they're
good.
doing tonight, Rich. Tonight they are really buzzing on all. I mean, their passing is crisp. It's like they know where each other's going to be at all times. And that's kind of what brought up this poll question, because you really are seeing a pretty at full strength roster right now. And honestly, that is pretty rare this late in the season to have a roster that's this healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've really got all the pieces that are available to them. They have it right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. Justin Gambino says Saros could win them around. I think he could. I agree.
Of course. Anytime you have that goaltender, they say it all the time in hockey. When you get in the playoffs, just get in, because a hot goaltender can take a team all the way. I mean, it really can.
Absolutely.
Pecorine has something to say about that in 2016, 2017. And I mean, he played incredible in that run to the Stanley Cup that year.
Definitely.
So, very good point.
Yep, that is
Justin Gambino. Welcome in, Justin Gambino. Happy to have you in here. All right, so we're going to watch the rest of this third period. Of course, we're going to do our battle for the Central Power Rankings as well. And, Rich, I've got us a couple really good, funny things I saw on the interwebs.
Oh, good.
And I'll ask you if you saw them. I think you saw pretty much all of these. But funny things we saw on the interwebs. We're doing that again tonight. We want to end every episode on a positive note. Something funny we saw, something humorous, something uplifting, inspirational, whatever it may be. That's how we're ending every episode of Catfish on Ice, because we all need more positivity and more inspiration in these troubling times we see right now. And we're all in it together. So, Rich, what are you thinking about the first two periods? Kind of give me your overall takeaways right now. Preds and Ducks, with the Preds up 2-0 right now, even though it feels like it should be a lot more.
They're playing really well, and that's always a good sign. And Saros is like, I don't want to jinx him or anything, but Saros is on it, man. He's had some
jinx him.
I know, right? I almost hated to bring it up, but
it's okay.
They've gotten some really good looks at him, and he's just swallowed the puck up. Mm-hmm. So
he's locked in. He is.
He's definitely locked in. Like we said at the beginning, I think it should be at least 4-0 right now, if not 5. They got some really good looks. They hit the post, I think, 3 or 4 times. McCarron hit it twice. I think that Janot goal, they must have had some camera angle that they didn't show us to rule that it was offsides, because I didn't see how you could call it offsides from the camera angles that they showed us, because it looked like you couldn't even see where the puck was. So I thought that was a little crappy. I knew the McCarron when he hit the crossbar, I knew that one wasn't going to count. It didn't go anywhere near the line. So they're playing really well. I would like to see them get one more right now and just get that good 3-0 cushion. Would be awesome.
Well, if the Preds want to be considered serious here, they need to control this game tonight, because the Ducks are completely outmatched roster-wise. They're missing some of their key critical players, as we mentioned just now, with Trevor Zegras, of course, Ryan Getzlaf. They've got a few other players as well alongside there. And they're starting to fade out of that playoff race, but they're not out of it, obviously. I think they're like 5 points behind the Preds in the standings, so they're obviously not out of it. But they're in a very odd predicament, very similar to the Preds, honestly, in a way, because no one expected the Ducks to be any good this year.
No.
Very young team. They're maybe one of the biggest surprises of the NHL, honestly, or they were for a while, and they've kind of fallen off a little bit lately. And so you're really wondering what they're going to decide to do at the trade deadline too, because they've got some good trade pieces out there, including Raquel, who I feel like would be a decent addition to the Preds if you could get him for a good price. I see, Rich, you're nodding your head there. What do you think about him?
I think that would be a good pickup. I think they just show – well, actually, what I wanted to say first was before earlier, I think in the second period, the analysts were talking about what Anaheim should do.
I saw that,
Brian Boucher was like, they should sell everything and just build the team back up or whatever. And then they showed some guys that they could move, and Raquel was one. His cap hit's like $5 million.
That's not that much. That's really
not that much with how much the Preds have right now. So
you're talking about Rickard Raquel. He is a 28-year-old winger. I've been saying right now, I've seen a lot of people say that the Preds need to go out and get themselves. They need to shore up their defensive depth, and I get that. I understand that because everyone thinks about having Fleet Myers in there, having Ben Harper in there, Rich, I got to tell you, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later in this episode. I just don't see a lot of defensemen out there that are realistic additions for this team. As far as you're either going to have to swing for the fences and spend a lot of money, take a lot of risk, or you're going to take someone who isn't any better than what you already have. I mean, that's when I look over the trade market for defensemen. And you're also, in my opinion, the Preds need a right-handed defenseman if that's the direction they're going to go. And a lot of your right-handed defensemen just don't really move the needle for me. I don't see how they're going to make any kind of crazy moves at the deadline that's going to change their playoff outlook. If they really want to send a message that they're all in and they're trying to do something, they're going to have to get a winger. And they can go really crazy and get some of these wingers out there, or they can maybe be a little bit more conservative in their approach. And I think Rickard Raquel would actually be a more conservative addition.
Yes.
His cap hit's not that high. You're talking about a player who's got over 150 career goals. For much of his career, he's played for a pretty bad team, a team that hasn't had a lot of success. So he's been kind of been buried on a bad team. You put him on a team that's got more chemistry and doing a lot more special things, he could do something special for you in the playoffs.
I agree. I think it would be a good idea for them to look to him or look at him. A swing for the fence move for me would be like we talked about going after
Brock
Jake
Besser.
DeBrusk.
I think Brock Besser would be the swing for the fences if we're talking wingers.
I agree what you said about the defensemen too. Like, I would just like to see them get, I don't know. So they're in a weird spot. They're going to have to fight hard to even to stay in their position in the wild card or to make fourth place in the division, whatever. And I hope that they don't have to use everybody up to get there, because that's going to hurt them. And like what I was going to say to bring to that point was get Borowiecki back healthy. I like him in there better than I do Harper, obviously, but I just hope that they can keep all those dudes healthy for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
So they don't have to
well, he's as we sit right now, Mark Borowiecki is the only he's really the only missing piece of this current lineup that you would likely see in the playoffs. That was what the point of the poll question was. And so it's interesting to think about because, we've watched the Preds this past week, including this game. And, I mean, they're outscoring their opponents now, if my math is correct, 12-1. How's that, Rich? Is that pretty good?
I think that's pretty good.
They're outscoring their opponents 12-1 over the last 3 games. That's counting this game right now.
Yeah.
12-1. They beat, of course, that is incredibly skewed by the 8-0 win drubbing of the San Jose Sharks, but it's still true though.
Hey man,
12-1, they're outscoring their opponents.
Absolutely.
And we're so just to update everybody, this is episode 112 of Catfish on Ice. We're coming in late in this Preds Ducks game. We got 15 minutes left in regulation. The Preds are up 2-0. They could easily be up by a lot more goals, whereas the Ducks have just not gotten many quality chances at all. I know Saros is having a decent game, but I don't think he's been tested a ton. He's been tested a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah, there's been a few really good quality shots, but nowhere near.
Well, the Ducks just really the Ducks are really just undermanned tonight. They just don't have a lot of weapons tonight.
Yep.
They just don't have much.
Yeah,
they're very scraped to the bones tonight with their roster. So
they are catching up on shots on goal though, 22-26 in favor of the Preds. But
we'll keep an eye on this game as we roll along in episode 112. But yeah, the trade talk, we're going to get more into it a little bit more later in this episode. Let me go ahead and tell everybody how the Tuesday night went.
Oh,
It was,
man.
like I said, it was the most fun I've had. And I've probably been to at least 60 or 70 hockey games in my life, maybe more. That's really just an estimate. I really don't know how many hockey games I've been to in my life. But that was the most fun, probably the most fun I've ever had at a hockey game, just purely on the atmosphere, the people sitting around us. I had no idea where we were going to be sitting. The way it worked out was it was a Christmas gift to the person I was going with from his parents, and he got to bring somebody. And he was like, well, of course, I'm going to bring my best friend, Nashville Predators fan to the game with me, which was very nice of him as a Dallas Stars fan. He could have found somebody in his circle of friends who's a Dallas Stars fan to take with him. But now he brought a Preds fan with him. And we went to the game. We continued our annual friend tradition by going to this game. And we were about 8 rows behind the Stars bench.
I was going to ask you that because I saw a video and I was like, I saw that it was from you and I didn't know if how close you were. You were like super close.
Of course, I would never do this, but I could have taken my adult beverage that I was drinking out of, my can, and hit Jamie Benn right in the back of the head with it. It would have been that easy. We were close. Of course, I would never do that. I'm classy. But that's how close we were.
You didn't get anywhere near Miro Heiskanen, did you?
No, with mono.
He's out with the mono, so I think that's pretty contagious. So
he's also on my fantasy team, so I'm hoping he didn't give it to the rest of my fantasy team.
Yeah, I hope he didn't give it to any Predators players.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't see that very often with like when you see a player's out for something, you don't see that very often.
So weird.
Yeah.
Mike Twitter said this earlier. He was standing for the last 6 minutes of the game. I actually had band practice and missed like half the game, but when I got home, I watched the end of it, and that last 6 minutes, I was standing up too. I was standing in front of the TV. Like,
well, I mean, yeah.
Yossi scored that goal, man, and I was just like, you just got to hang on for a minute and 20 seconds.
The way the game went was neither team was letting the other team get any room to do anything. I mean, it was if you're looking for a lot of offense, it was a very frustrating game to watch because, and there were people sitting around us who you could tell they were casual hockey fans and they were like very, very bored. But you also saw a lot of people who you could tell, you could kind of pick out the fans that were pure hockey fans and the fans that were casual and they were just there to do something on a Tuesday night, because you had to be a pure hockey fan to enjoy this game. Because it was both teams were poke checking. They were smothering the blue line. You couldn't really get in the zone. There were a lot of times where the Preds just all their energy was expended. So instead of trying to push into the zone, they would just chit the puck into the zone, dump and chase, or they would make a line change. Both teams were doing that. Here's where things really ramped up, Rich, was when Jamie Benn shot Forsberg head first into the boards. Ooh.
Yeah, that was ugly. That's one of the reasons I don't like Jamie Benn. I just do not.
You have a good reason. That's Exhibit A for you right there, then, because
that's ugly.
That was not and you could tell he knew what he was doing. Like, it wasn't like totally malicious where he just forcibly did it, but he could have easily held up a little bit. And that could have been a really catastrophic injury for Phil Forsberg.
Oh, absolutely. It could have been. And then obviously Matthias Ekholm took exception to that. And
you love to see it.
We were talking about it, and I was like, if he hadn't have started fighting with Ben, the Predators would have definitely got a power play out of it. But, man, you got to take up for your teammates. I mean, you can't let that go.
I'm okay with it, especially when it's a player like Jamie Benn, because Matthias Ekholm and Jamie Benn have played a lot of hockey against each other. And you know that Ekholm is not going to let that slide with a veteran player like Jamie Benn who knows what he's doing. It's one thing if a young, I don't want to call a punk, but like a young player who's just kind gets a little carried away, does something like that. But Jamie Benn knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's very cheap. It was a very cheap hit.
Yeah. And I don't know. So watching Dallas play, I don't know what you think about this, but it seemed like they're kind of moving away from being like bullies and playing a rougher game. I don't know if it's just because I really don't know why, but it just seems like Ben and like Radulov are like the last couple of guys on their team who do things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not, but yeah, it was just bad.
Well, there was another really chippy play in the game. This was later in the game, and this was when the game was still the game was in the balance the entire game, but this was when it was really like, I wasn't sure if the Preds were going to be able to pull it off, honestly. And I'm talking about the Luke Cunnin penalty they called on him, where they called him for cross-checking, but the original penalty they called was a flop. It was a complete dive.
I didn't even catch that, really.
Oh, yeah, it was a complete dive. It was right by the net. They were fighting for the puck. And, gosh, I wish I would have to see this. To remember correctly, the Stars player it was. But the Stars player just completely – where is it at? Oh, yeah. No, this was in the first period. I'm so sorry. So my timeline's off a little bit here. Yeah, Luke Cunning gets called for a cross-check on Rupe Hintz, and it was a complete, flop.
Okay.
But Cunnin does cross-check him after the arm was already up. So everyone was, pointing to, oh, well, he did cross-check him. He's clearly cross-checking him. I'm like, the arm was already up at that point. So they called it on the original hit. So it was one of those kind of games where it was just really chippy. And both fan bases, because there were a lot of Stars fans. I got to give Stars fans credit for a Tuesday night in the middle of the week. I'm not saying they had sections taken over or anything like that, but I saw plenty of pockets, including our section of Stars fans. And, we were all on pins and needles, thinking it was one of those games where it's if you give up 2 goals in this game, you're going to lose. It was that close. It was one of those types of games.
Absolutely. When Dallas scored, man, I was really nervous because I was that could be it. With the way these two teams play, 1-0 could definitely be the end of this hockey game easily.
Jake Ottinger was playing great net. UC Saros was playing great net. They lived up to their reputations, as we were talking about on Monday's episode when we previewed the game.
Yep.
So they didn't disappoint at all in net. And like you said, then you just you fast forward to the captain, Roman Josi, he showed everybody why he is the captain. And in our books, he is the Norris Trophy candidate. Top candidate in our books. And we're not biased. All we got to do is show you his tape on Tuesday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were about to get another Preds Stars overtime game. It was heading into the last minute of the game. And that's when Roman Josi did what he did.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I was talking, my wife was watching, and I was going to overtime is not going to help them. That's just going to tie them. The two teams, they'll be tied in the standings.
You didn't go to the in-laws' house, so good job.
I did not. I hate to say it, but man, I don't want to.
We're all joking here. I'm sure your in-laws are great people. We're all joking.
Well, they are.
We're very superstitious people. Sports fans are very superstitious creatures.
Yeah, it's great watching games over there. My father-in-law.
Let's throw some love to. I'm going to go ahead and say this now. I've been very, very critical of Ryan Johansen over the last month or two, but he really showed up on Tuesday night, and I got to give him credit where credit is due. I still think he is a vastly overrated player. I'm sorry, I do. I think he's overrated. He's good. He's not top 6 centerman good. I'm sorry, he's not. But with that said, he had a really, really strong, important game for the Preds on Tuesday night. I tip my cap to him on that game. Played very well. Had a 2-point game, including scoring the tying goal. So my hat is tipped off to you. I've never said Ryan Johansen is a bad hockey player. I just think he's overrated, and he likes to disappear a lot.
Mike Twitter's got a question for you there.
You want to win faceoffs, Chad? Okay, but as a top 6 center, is that all you're bringing to me as an $8 million top 6 center? Is you win faceoffs?
Yeah.
I see the Preds win faceoffs all the time in the zone, and the puck gets turned over like immediately. So it's a nice stat to have. You love to win faceoffs, but that's not enough for me. Like I said, I think he's a great player. I don't think I just think he's overrated. I don't think he's a top 6 center anymore.
He is, like you said, he is really streaky. There'll be sections of the season when he plays awesome, and then there's sections when he just drops off the face of the planet. And you can't have that at all. That's just not.
I think it also makes people hard. It makes it hard for people to criticize Johansen because he is such a likable player. Like, he's a very likable player. I know he's got a strong leadership quality to him. He's got all the intangibles. And he's been with the team for a long time. He was a part of the Stanley Cup run until he had that gruesome injury. I get all that. He has all the intangibles. I'm just saying that if there was a way to trade him and it made sense and get his $8 million contract off the books, I would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yep. Justin Gambino's got a good point. He needs to shoot the puck more and stop passing.
Well,
I think that's why he isn't like he was on the Jackets. And that's a good point, actually, because if we're thinking he's going to get back to how he was playing for the Blue Jackets, that's just not going to happen. I don't think.
He's never been a big goal scorer since he's ever been with the Preds.
Yeah.
That's just never been his game.
Yeah. I think it's just not going to happen. So
I mean, he's at 41 points in 53 games this year. And I know that points isn't the only way you rate somebody. I'm just looking at what I'm looking at right now. And I mean,
he is playing better than he did last season. I will give him that.
And if he's not a bit, so if you're talking about a top 6 center who is not a big goal scorer, I think we can all agree that he's never been a big goal scorer. Is 27 assists really going to cut it?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I'm saying he's overrated. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying he is overrated.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He makes a lot of money. He makes a whole lot of money.
Well, I know to flip on that, I know one player who's starting to change that narrative, who has changed that narrative all season, and that's Matt Duchene, who is on the board tonight with a goal. He has controlled the pace all night. His skating is so crisp. It's so flawless. It's like he really is dictating everything. Phil Forsberg is feeding off of it on his line. Yep. And I mean, let's see who breaks the record first.
Yeah. So the first goal was Forsberg to Duchene, right? Yes. And then the second one, yes. No, what was it?
The first one was Forsberg to Duchene. It was a power play goal right across the crease.
That's right.
Like a backdoor situation. Pretty much just a layup for Matt Duchene to knock in.
And then the second one
Forsberg. And the second one was kind of like, okay, I owe you one, so I'm going to give you this one back. And he gave one to Forsberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like it's like they're just like playing with each other. It's like, okay, I set you up the first time, so now you're going to set me up this time. Let's just keep doing this back and forth. That's kind of where their chemistry is right now with each other. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because for the longest time, the Predators couldn't even figure out what they wanted their top line to be, if you remember going back to the last couple seasons. So now they finally know what they have, at least when it comes to their line combinations.
Yeah. And that power play goal, that was beautiful. I mean, that was just perfect. Like, it's drawn up on the board, the way they executed that. It was awesome. It looked very good.
Their power play has looked really crisp all night.
Mm-hmm.
It's looked really good.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, you would hope it would look really good against a team like the Ducks, who are missing so many pieces, and they're kind of fading. They're fading fast. Like a lot of people, including ourselves, were worried that the Preds were about to hit the same thing. They were about to start fading fast. Up until, going into that Florida Panthers game a couple weeks ago, we were like, they're fading fast. And then they won a couple games, but then they lost in the Stadium Series. Then they lost to the Seattle Kraken, and they were like, are they about to start fading fast again? Well, they keep figuring out ways to flip the script and say, nope, we're not ready to fade just yet. Yep. The Ducks, on the other hand, they are fading.
Yeah, they're hurting.
They're dealing with a lot more injuries than the Preds are dealing with right now. I'm not trying to take anything away from the performance tonight that the Preds have going, but this is kind of what they should be doing tonight. They should be doing this.
Yep. Anaheim is in 6th place in their division, and they're 3 points back of 4th place. So they're not totally out of it, but it's getting. If they
I see the Ducks as one of those teams where they're really pleased with what they've got going for the future. They're happy that they at least made it interesting, but I think they're going to be probably thinking more long-term future going into the deadline. So like we said, Raquel, you would expect him to get traded definitely. I feel like they're a team that's I'm not saying they're not going to play hard down the stretch and be spoilers, but I think they kind of realize what their ceiling is most likely. Not so much those players. Those players are always going to play hard and try to win, but their front office, just speaking of their front office, they're probably thinking more long-term at this point.
Absolutely. Oh, they just showed that power play goal. It was so
whereas we said, I don't think the Preds know what the heck they want to do right now. They really don't. And we are literally 10 days away, Rich, from the trade deadline, and we still have no clue. It has not gotten any more clear what the Preds are going to do at the trade deadline.
Yeah, it's no big secret or anything. If they get rid of Forsberg, they're going to be done for the season.
Well, and that's the wild card in this whole situation is what is going to happen with him. What is going to happen with him? And we still don't know. We haven't gotten any. We've been talking about this topic since December.
It's crazy.
And we still have not gotten any more clear picture on what is going to happen in this situation at all.
Saros is going to want that one back.
The last report we saw was that the contract talks have not gotten any closer, basically.
Yeah. Yep. It's I don't know. It's a weird situation to be in, because if they don't get anything done and they keep him and then they try to go all in to make some noise in the playoffs and then it fails and then he walks, then they're going to be really screwed. So,
yes. All right. So the Ducks have just got on the board. So they're making it interesting. It's a 2-1 game now. Rich, you just said that Saros should have had that one.
Yeah, it looked like he had it and then lost control over a little bit, and it kind of snuck through his pad. So
yeah, we're looking at it here.
What? You're just now seeing it? I'm ahead of you?
No, they're showing replays right now.
I think I'm actually ahead of you because they're showing.
Well, this is the Hulu game. This is the Hulu
ESPN
you're
watching
Plus
on Hulu?
Game. Yeah.
Are you watching on? I'm watching on ESPN. So.
All right. Yeah, this is the exclusive Hulu ESPN Plus game that they've done a couple times this year, which is interesting that they're doing it this year like that.
Yes, Mike Twitter. First he said not bang. Yes, I agree. And then it was a slippery goal. Yes, it was.
It was.
And the Preds are on the penalty kill. Carrier just stick somebody in the face, look like.
This is not one of those games where you can mess around here and not get every single point. And I mean, you better get all 2 points in this game. These are the type of games you cannot let go.
Absolutely. Missy's joining. Hello, Missy.
What's up, Missy?
Watching on the NHL app. A few seconds behind. Yep. Usually I'm 45 seconds behind.
Yeah. All right. So with that, let's do our battle for the Central Power Rankings, Rich, because it's Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
How about these Arizona Coyotes? They are actually, and you're going to laugh, you do it every week, but they're actually playing some good freaking hockey right now.
I am not going to laugh because they are not in the number 8 spot for me this week.
Oh, whoa.
Yep. Believe that?
You just moved the Coyotes up, and I did it as well. We're both moving the Coyotes up. I never thought you would do it.
I didn't either. I even said Monday that they would be 8-7. Arizona would be 8 Thursday, but they are not.
I mean, they just got done. They beat the Maple Leafs tonight, and they are scoring like a lot of goals every game now.
Yes.
First of all, I really like Clayton Keller on the Coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
This kid is a great player to watch. Yep. And he just gets buried because he's on the Arizona Coyotes. But he's playing great hockey for them. And, I mean, I respect a team that knows that they are kind of the laughingstock of the league.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not giving up. And they're playing really good against some really tough teams. They beat the Colorado Avalanche.
Crazy.
A week ago. They beat Ottawa 8-5. They beat Detroit 9-2.
That's a beating.
And they beat Toronto 5-4 tonight.
Yeah.
What is going on with this team?
So that puts them on a 4-game win streak, which is insane.
They also beat Vegas. They beat Vegas towards the end of February. They beat Dallas on February 20th. They only lost by 1 goal to the Tampa Bay Lightning earlier in that month. So even in their losses, they're putting up valiant efforts. So we have to move them to number 7.
Yep, for sure, definitely.
Sorry for all those Blackhawks fans. I know that there's a 10-point gap there, but I'm putting them at number 7.
Yeah, me too.
It's not just about the standings. Obviously, when we do the power rankings, it is about where are these teams trending. It's really about where are they trending right now? How are they looking? If they played each other right now, which team would we take? I would take the Coyotes. If they played in a game right now, do or die, winner take all, I would take the Coyotes over the Blackhawks right now.
Yep. Chicago beat the stuffing out of Anaheim the other night, and then they lost to Philadelphia. So that kind of played into me putting them in 8th as well.
And Philadelphia is another really bad team this year.
Another really bad team.
Yeah.
So,
the Blackhawks are just a directionalist team right now. They're a team that just has no.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought the Blackhawks had a chance to be a playoff team this year. That everyone expected them to take another step forward in their rebuild. And not only did they not take a step forward, but they literally took like 10 steps back.
Yep.
They're
bad. Like, I would expect. I'm surprised you haven't seen it yet, but they got to do something at the trade deadline if they can find people to take these guys. And I would get rid of. They need to let Marc-Andre Fleury go.
Fleury's the big one that they're looking to move.
Yeah,
Fleury's the big one. I haven't seen a lot of their players on the trade market though, Rich. Because honestly, going into this season has not gone according to plan at all. No. Whereas at least a team like the Coyotes, you can say, oh yeah, they knew they were going to be bad this year.
Yeah.
You can't use that excuse for the Blackhawks. People thought they would be even a playoff team this year.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. I thought for sure. And I thought when they got Fleury, they'd be even better, but they're just horrible in front of him.
Yeah.
So
a big shift in the power rankings there as we both moved the Coyotes up to number 7.
Yep.
All right. Number 6. Number 6. All right. So first of all, the division is starting to get a little bit closer in the middle. As we sit right now, this game's not over yet with the Preds and the Ducks. So we're just going to go off what it is currently. But the Winnipeg Jets have been playing a little bit better lately too.
Yep.
They are only 6 points behind the Preds right now, and they're only 5 points behind the Stars for 4th and 5th place. I am still going to keep the Winnipeg Jets in the number 6 spot, though.
What do you think about this?
I like it when I see that. Mike Twitter says bang with like 5 exclamation points.
You're really going to love it when you see what it was.
I don't like being behind. Normally, I'm the one that sees everything
right?
first.
Well, Mike Twitter's
Rich likes this. Rich is enjoying this power too much over
Colton
me.
Sissons with the breakaway.
Oh, I love that.
Man, he was far out too. How did Gibson miss that? That's crazy.
John Gibson's is another goaltender who's not having a season according to plan.
No,
I mean,
for sure.
He's supposed to be an elite goaltender by a lot of people's standards, and he has not been that way at all.
Benning took a puck to the back of his elbow, it looked like. that probably didn't feel too
Poor
good.
Matt Benning takes so many pucks.
He does.
I mean, he just lays his body
He's
out
tough.
there.
He's definitely a tough player. I'll give him that.
Oh, okay. So I'm watching the lead up to the Sissons goal here, and the Ducks had the zone for a little bit. That was a little that was a little This is a little nerve wracking. I mean, I know what's going to happen now, but yeah, they were on the power play there, the Ducks, and they had some zone time.
Yep.
And you get a steal or almost a steal.
Got the empty net. Got the empty net here.
Get so the Preds the Preds had to be really resilient on their penalty kill there leading up to the Sissons goal.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I'm seeing here.
And you thank Benning for that block shot.
Sometimes effective penalty killing, sometimes the team's going to be in the other zone, but it's about being in position to block shooting lanes and block passing lanes. And okay, so now I'm seeing the Sissons. Oh.
So now we got here's a
all right, so John Gibson got completely fooled on that Sissons goal right there.
Yeah.
Because that was
really weird.
I'm not taking anything away from Sissons on the shot. I mean, that's a great goal, but come on now. And it was a pinpoint type of goal, but I feel like Gibson should have had that, like you said.
I did
Rich.
too.
Like,
absolutely,
we'll take
should
it.
have.
And that was from way out. That was from way outside the circle too. I mean, that was not a close-in shot at all.
And that was what was so surprising about it. So then, while we were talking, Preds just got an empty net goal.
All right, let's move. Let's go ahead and move the Preds. We were just talking about the standings. Let's go ahead and move the Preds up to 70 points now. So they are still in fourth place, and they are 1 point now behind Minnesota for number 3. And they're only 3 points behind St. Louis, which is our matinee game on Saturday.
Man, yeah, that's huge. We say this every game, but that's going to be a big one for sure. So
that's going to put your big boy pants on for that one because St. Louis is another team that knows us well. Another game where the emotions are going to be running high. I hate matinee games. For some reason, I feel like the Preds never play well in matinee games.
I don't like them either. I think that St. Louis beat the crap out of the Rangers tonight, 6-2.
That's a statement win for them.
Yeah, so
that's 11:30 a.m. local time puck drop. That is an early game for a hockey game. And hockey players are creatures of habit. So when you have a game start that early, it throws off their habits. It throws off their routine a little bit. Yep. I just don't like matinee games at all. I hate them.
Yeah, I don't either.
Who got the empty net goal there?
Matt Duchene.
Oh, all right. Get a little bit closer to that goal record.
Yep, 29th of the year.
He is now 5 shy of Victor Arvidsson's single season record.
Love it.
He's definitely going to break it. It's a matter of who breaks it first. I mean, I guess he could go on a massive goal drought, but that's a goal. That's a record that honestly should have been broken a long time ago.
Yeah,
that is such a low record for goals in a season.
It is.
No offense to Victor Arvidsson, but
the past 3 seasons they've had have been not good. This is their best they've had in several seasons.
And for many, many years in the early part of the franchise's history, they just didn't score goals at all. They were a low-scoring team in general.
Yep.
So.
And that'll do it, boys.
All right. So the Preds do what they were supposed to do tonight. I hate that UC Saros's shutout was spoiled, but other than that, can't really argue too much about this game. You take care of business. You can't afford to lose games like this when they're kind of served up to you.
Yep. Justin said we went from a Preds team who no one could score 20 for a couple of seasons, it felt like, and now we're about to have 2 break 30. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good, especially for Matt Duchene after the few seasons he had.
So Matt Duchene has a 3-point night now.
Love
when
it.
He gets that empty net goal.
Love it.
So that puts his point total now at 54. So he is actually just 6 points behind Roman Josi for the team lead in points.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, Matt Duchene, have yourself a season.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You don't hear the Duchene critics out there anymore.
No.
Like, for real, I haven't heard one criticism of Duchene in a long time.
No.
I'm sure they're still out there. I'm not saying they're not out there, but
yeah, everything falls on it all goes to Ryan Johansen now.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rich.
No, don't be sorry. I mean, it's true what you're saying. That's for sure.
All right. So are we sticking with let's get back to our power rankings. Are we sticking with the Winnipeg Jets at number 6, but they're getting close?
That's who I had. Yep, definitely. It's close, but they're I think they won tonight actually. So that put them up 2 more.
All right. I'm sticking at number 5. I'm keeping the Minnesota Wild at number 5.
Yeah. I feel kind of bad for what I'm going to say, but I still left Nashville at number 5.
Whoa. What?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
Wait, you still got Nashville behind the Dallas Stars?
I did for the moment. Yeah, but that was before tonight, obviously. I did. The Stars, man, they were playing really well.
But the Preds beat the Stars 3 out of 4 times this season. I know. Does head-to-head mean nothing to you?
I know, but this was only for a week. Power rankings are only for the week.
No, we're talking about the whole season.
No, we're not.
Yeah, it's an overall season outlook.
Oh, okay. We're switching. Okay, then I'm going to put Nashville at 4.
No, it's too late.
No, I know.
Nashville's at number 5.
Hey, man, huge win. Tonight was a good indicator that they're trending in the right direction. Let's put it that way. So,
all right,
that's
fair enough. I go head to head here, and they've won 3 out of 4 against Dallas. They have Dallas's number.
Yep.
They clearly are a really good matchup against Dallas. They just know how to figure out ways to win against them.
They do.
That was Tuesday night was my put up or shut up game for the Preds. They've got another one coming on Saturday against St. Louis.
Yep.
If they keep winning games like this against these quality teams, then they're going to pull me back in a little bit.
Next week, if they keep trending in this direction, they will be higher.
And Tuesday was totally a prove-it game for me, and they did it. Yep. It wasn't pretty. It took a late goal to beat them.
Yep.
But all I'm saying is in crunch time, they know how to play against the Dallas Stars, and that bodes well down the stretch. Even though they're done playing each other, their season series is over. It's just big. It was huge. So I bumped the Preds up to number 3. I got Dallas at number 4, and I've got Minnesota at number 5.
Yep, I had Minnesota at 3 because they
three through 5.
Rangers.
All right, fair enough. But 3 through 5 is so close.
It is, and like I said, if Nashville continues on this trend, they will definitely be higher in my book.
Well, I would hope so, because that would mean they would have to beat St. Louis on Saturday.
I'm going to bring it up again. That Seattle game just ticked me off with those guys.
I get it.
And they're trending up now. They're trending up. I like it. But Dallas, they're still playing really well.
They are.
They've won that Nashville game was the first one they'd lost in 4 or 5 games. So,
and then the last game before that was also a loss to the Preds. So,
yep. That's right. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Minnesota is trending down. Definitely.
Dallas has 2 losses since February 24th, and they're both against the Preds.
That's funny.
So there you go.
That's so funny.
So you are correct on that.
Yep. We'll see. This weekend will be a good.
St. Louis is still securely in number 2, but let's see what happens here on Sunday or on Saturday.
Excuse me. They won tonight. They had lost 4 in a row before that. St. Louis had. I think I I said the only reason they're in second is because they're second in standings and they got a little bit of a cushion.
It's made the division race very interesting between 2 and 6.
Yep. And then Colorado's number 1. They've been losing some games.
But they've got such a lead, though. They're
that's what I wrote. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. It doesn't matter. But then I also wrote the losses are really strange for right now. So
yeah, I think that they're guilty of probably maybe going a little too much into cruise control. Maybe they've relaxed a little bit. Maybe they've taken their foot off the gas. That's kind of what I'm seeing from them. But as soon as it's time to really put the pedal to the metal and win games in the playoffs, good luck against the Colorado Avalanche. And that's why we got to stay out of this wild card.
They actually lost tonight to the Hurricanes 2-0.
Well, that's a potential cup preview right there. Stanley Cup preview.
Yeah, definitely. Could be. Yep. It's crazy. That's for sure.
Colorado has still got a 14-point lead in the division with 87 points. They got the second highest goal differential in the league. Guess who has the best goal differential in the league? Quick trivia. Who is it? No, I'm asking you, Rich. Take a guess. Take a guess. They're in the Eastern Conference.
Is it Florida?
There you go. Good job.
There you go.
Plus 73 for Florida.
Wow. That's huge.
Preds are plus 23, so they're starting to kind of build that margin. For the longest time, the Preds were like right around 0. They were like +1, +2, but they're up to plus 23 now. Again, that 8-0 win against the San Jose Sharks really helped.
Yep. They were at like +1 and 2 when they went on that big when they had their winning streak going on. They were still only like +2, 3, 4 or something like that, which was kind of weird.
All right, so let's get really quick. Let's talk about these trade rumors that are going on right now. And what I did an article for Predlines.com today where I basically said the Nashville Predators find themselves in a very tricky trade deadline territory right now.
Massively tricky.
That's what I think about is they're just they're in tricky trade deadline territory. I mean, what do you do if you're David Poile? I feel like he's in a lose-lose situation. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he decides to just be completely a non-participant and then the team comes up short, then there's going to be all these critics out there who are like, oh, what's he getting paid for? What's he supposed to do as a GM? he could have made it all these additions and he just let it all go. I could see it happening. I really could. But let's say he rolls the dice and he goes out and gets himself a couple players and the Preds lose in the first round anyway. Well, then everyone's going to come after him. They're like, why would you do that? You should have known that this team's not good enough. Yada, yada, yada. I mean, he really is like in a lose-lose situation with where this team's at right now.
Yep, absolutely. And then there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to be mad if he trades Forsberg, if they can't come to an agreement.
Now that's going to be
ugly.
That's going to be the one thing where if Forsberg is lost in the offseason, all bets are off. I'll be right there with those people if Poile loses Forsberg for nothing.
Yep. I mean, the days are counting down, man. They need to get it done, that's for sure.
Less than 2 weeks away from the trade deadline, which is March 21st. I identified 2 areas, see if you agree with me, Rich, 2 areas on this team that I do think the Preds could really boost their lineup a little bit. First one being defensive depth. So that means you would maybe take out Mark Borowiecki and add one of these guys, one of these additions. That's what I'm thinking. You need a third line defenseman who can actually bring you more offense. And I know those are hard to find, but maybe something like that, a right-handed defenseman. Or, of course, you can just go really, really swing for the fences and try to get a scoring winger to fit in your top 6. And the reason why I really identify that area is, do we really think that Luke Kunin should be in the top 6? On a deep scoring team, he should not.
No, absolutely not. You're right. There was a point in time where I thought so. There was a point in time when I would say yes, but
I feel like he's a borderline top 6 player. I'm not saying he has no business being in the top 6, but if we're talking about being buyers at the trade deadline, that's a position, that's a roster spot I would flip right there. If I could add somebody to this roster and
Justin Gambino says,
all right.
No.
Well, I'm just telling you, he's a trade piece. Luke Cunnin is a trade piece if that's what Poyle wants to do.
Yeah, unfortunately. I like him. I wish there was a way that, I don't know, they could figure out a way to keep him, but he definitely would be one of the main ones to go.
If you want to get a Brock Besser or a Jake DeBrusk, or there's a couple other there's plenty of wingers out there that are interesting to people. Max Domi is one that I'm thinking about. If you want to get one of these players, clearly Justin Gambino doesn't. I don't think. If he's listening right now, Justin Gambino, let us know what you would do if you were the GM right now. Put your GM hat on. But
I think he was saying no, that Cunnin is not a top 6 forward, is what he was getting at.
I don't think he would be a top 6 forward on a lot of teams, a lot of top tier NHL teams. I do not think Luke Cunnin would be a top 6 forward.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a very quality third line player. He's a glue guy. He does a lot of good things. I'm not saying that he has no business being in the top 6. For what the Preds have available to them, he's a top 6 player. I'm saying he's not a top 6. Okay. He doesn't want to trade to.
No, he does. Okay. He says trade him or fourth line him. Yeah. Okay. So that's what's weird about the Predators. So normally I would say he would be on the third line, but you don't want to do anything with your third line because they're all too good. So, I don't know.
Well, you're talking about a team that has a lot of chemistry with each other. So we love that. We love that they're not shuffling the lines like we got used to seeing for so many years. So you love all that. I'm just saying, between between the criticism of Ryan Johansen and Luke Cunnin, I'm really ruffling some feathers tonight, Rich.
No, that's all good.
I'm just being honest. He's a great player for what the Preds have right now. But if you're going out there and you're going to add yourself a scoring winger, and you're really going to be players in this trade deadline, then Luke Cunnin is a player that you would move out that's in your current top 6.
Mike Twitter says trade Cunnin for Bonino. That'd be funny. Do we want Nick Bonino back?
I want Phil Kessel, and we can keep Luke Cunnin. How about that? Does that make everybody feel better?
I want Jake DeBrusk. I want them to do whatever they got to do to get that dude, but I just don't see it happening. But
I actually feel like the Bruins are going to keep Jake DeBrusk.
I think so. Well, they want to, but I don't think he wants to stay there.
That doesn't mean anything, though.
It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't.
They might decide to. They might not get any offers that please them, and they might keep him anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But when it comes,
Justin says I'd allow Kessel.
Well, here's the beauty of it. We can come to a mutual agreement here, Justin. I don't think you would have to trade Luke Cunnin to get Phil Kessel. I don't think Phil Kessel is going to demand too much in a trade. He can get him for very, very cheap. I would love to put Phil Kessel in the bottom 6.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
And you're not going to like this, Rich, because I know you don't want to mess with the third line. But I would love to see Phil Kessel play with Tanner Jeannot and Yakov Trenin.
I'd be all right with that. I don't have any problem with that.
I think that their games would fit each other very well.
Yep. Yeah.
Or one of those two players, at least. One of those two players. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm just a little too I just like Phil Kessel, and maybe he doesn't fit on this team, but I just like him so much. It would be so cool to see him in a Preds uniform.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's doable too. That's what's the good part about it. It could definitely happen. So he makes a lot of money, but it would probably only be for.
Well, we've seen reports that they're willing to retain a chunk of his salary.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
To unload him.
That's right. It's a lot.
And
I think he makes a lot of money.
It's very likely that Kessel would probably be a rental.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, he's 34 years old, so he probably doesn't have a lot of good years left. You would purely be adding him for a cheap price, low risk. See if he can bring in some of that old school magic that he used to have back in his glory days.
Yep. I think it'd be good.
He's playing for a really bad team. I know they've been playing better. And I know he's only got 6 goals this season, but he's still got another 28 assists. So he's got 34 points this year. So it's not like he's completely just non-existent.
Horrible. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And he would be getting a lot more scoring opportunities on the Preds if he was playing on the Preds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I did misspeak, though, a little bit. So I got to say, he wouldn't make sense playing with Trennan and Tanner Jeannot because who's going to center that line? None of them are centers. Yeah. So that I misspoke there. So he wouldn't really make sense on that line. But I will still say, though, that I would love to see Phil Kessel play with Tanner Jeannot. I'm just going to leave it at that. That'd be really cool.
That'd be pretty brutal. Brutal line.
That'd be a good line. That'd be a good line.
I'll take it.
Brock Besser is a player I really like, but you're going to have to really, really spend a lot to get him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it would probably be a rental as well. Sure.
Oh, he's going to be expensive.
Yeah. A rental for the rest of the season.
All the defensemen I see out there are just, I don't see them as upgrades to the Preds as far as realistic defensemen. Because I don't think some of these other defensemen that are really leading the trade market for defensemen, I just don't see it any way happening, them ending up on the Preds. John Klingberg, I don't think the Stars are going to be sellers anymore. So
I doubt it.
The Stars are in a really difficult situation too, though.
Yeah.
The Stars are in a difficult situation because they're most likely not going to be able to keep Klingberg this offseason because their salary cap situation is not in a great situation right now.
Yep.
Because they're already paying a lot of money to some of their core players like Tyler Seguin, like Jamie Benn, like Rube Hintz, like Miro Heiskanen. They've got a lot of money tied up in a lot of their core players. So Klingberg is going to be the odd man out. So almost like how the Preds are. Well, it's a very similar situation to what the Preds are dealing with Forsberg. The same thing's going on with the Dallas Stars and John Klingberg. They're likely not going to be able to keep him in the offseason. So will they decide to trade him? But they're in the playoff race. Yeah. So how are you going to trade away one of your best defensemen? They're in a tough situation.
Yeah. Oh, that is. Yeah, that is very tough now that you think about it. Because he doesn't want to. I think he wants to leave. For sure. But like you said, if you hold on to him, he's going to walk for nothing at the end of the season. Because somebody he will definitely go somewhere. Somebody will definitely want him. He is a really good player. But
if the Preds were to go out and get a defenseman, I would like them to get a younger player who maybe doesn't have a ton of NHL like a huge resume, so they're not going to be super expensive, but definitely a lot of upside. I would be willing. And there's one player that I really came across, and that's Damon Severson, 27-year-old defenseman for the New Jersey Devils, because he brings a lot of offensive ability. He's not overly expensive. He's just 27 years old. So you would like to think that he is going through the peak of his career here very soon. And I don't think it would be a huge risk. So everyone kind of take a look at Damon Severson. I think he would be a decent addition to this team if the Preds want to look into adding a defenseman. But other than that, I really don't see anyone.
I think it would be cool, like you just said, about getting someone with a little more offense. It would be cool to find a player who could play tough like Benning or Borowiecki do, but then did have a little bit of the offensive upside. That would be perfect. I mean, that would be absolutely perfect to have a player like that. So
Damon Severson here, he's got 8 goals, 24 assists on the season. He is a right-handed defenseman, so he fits that spot there. And he's got 48 career goals. So he's definitely scored plenty of goals in his career as a defenseman. Yep. It's not like he has offensive upside. That's the point.
Yep. Here's another Devils defenseman.
Oh, I know. I've already seen it. Yes. Well, hey, Justin, it's really not a bad thing to bring up when you're thinking about signing at the league minimum. I saw that as well. PK Subban.
Yep.
As much as I love the nostalgia and I love Subban, it makes no sense to me to add him to the team. I'm sorry.
No.
Why would you shake up the locker room? I think he would shake up the locker room. I'm not saying necessarily in a bad way, but I just don't know how. I think that has the potential for blowing up in your face.
I think so too. I agree. Yeah, I like PK Subban, but he does bring a different feel to the team, I guess.
It would get you plenty of headlines. It'd get you plenty of headlines. It'd get you plenty of national attention, just not crazy about it.
Yeah.
As much as I like Subban.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
And where would you put him? Where would you put him in this lineup? You're really going to put Subban on the third pairing with Matt Benning? I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how. I just don't see. Yeah, where are you going to put him? I mean, I'm not okay with moving down Dante Fabro for Subban.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I mean, your top four defensive players are pretty set right now. I think Dante Fabro is having a career year in terms of points. He keeps getting better and better. Matthias Ekholm has rebounded nicely. I don't think you move him down. Of course, we're not touching Alexander Carrier and Roman Yossi. So if you add a Subban, are you really going to go through all that just to put him, even at league minimum? Are you really going to stick him on your third pairing? Just don't see how that would be. Other than getting great headlines, I don't see how that'd be good. A good move. But honestly, like I said, I don't see a lot of defensemen out there that are going to fit the team well. I don't know what kind of moves they're going to be able to make in that department.
Was Lucas Pisa on your radar anywhere?
He's not on my radar. Nope. He's not available. He's not available, unfortunately.
That's a shame because he might be the answer.
He might be the answer.
I
brought up Max Domi earlier, though. Max Domi also intrigues me. He hasn't been tied to the Predators. I haven't seen any articles or anything like that. But he's another former goal scorer that I feel like just needs a change of scenery. He's got it. He is a great goal scorer. He's just not happy with the Columbus Blue Jackets, who's a very middle-of-the-road team. And he just needs to change of scenery. Now, Justin Gambino, if you're still listening, I'm about to upset you a little bit. I would trade Luke Cunnin for Max Domi.
Ooh. Wow. That's all right.
I call that take one step back by losing Cunnin, because that would be tough to lose a player like him, but taking 3 steps forward because you're getting yourself a prolific, proven goal scorer who can score you clutch goals in the playoffs. So I would do that for Max Domi.
Yeah. Actually, Justin says he would too. Max Domi is an interesting guy because he was not happy in Montreal and wanted a change of scenery, and he kind of got one in Columbus, and now he's not happy with that change of scenery. So this is his 7th season. He's on his 3rd team. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously don't have any insight into anything, but I've always kind of seen messages that.
Wait a minute, Rich. I thought you were in the inner circle. You told me last week that you were in the inner circle with Frank Saravelli and Elliot Friedman and all those guys.
Yeah, it's just a front that I sit here and work at my desk all day. It's just a front for my real job. Right. No. So I don't know.
All right.
If he makes the team better, that's cool, but we'll just have to see. Yeah.
Always fun talking trade rumors as we get closer to the trade deadline, just 10 days away. Everyone, send us your best trade offers, your best trade packages in your head. Send them to Catfish on Ice, at Catfish Ice on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Comment on the episode right now. Give us some of your best trade offers. We'll share them as we wrap up episode 112. We are brought to you by DraftKings. The NHL season has been packed with dirty dangles, hat tricks, and big wins. We've seen the Preds have some dirty dangles and some big wins recently, and it's been awesome.
Love it.
But as the action rolls on, the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has your shot to win big too. It's great to have an NHL offer with DraftKings right now, and it's a really good one right now,
definitely.
Rich. It really is. So let's tell you about it. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team and get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. 21 and up. Restrictions apply. And see our show notes for details on if you have a gambling problem and all the ways you can reach out for help in that regard. We have all the information in our show notes on the podcast and on YouTube in the description right now if you're seeking help. If the sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you still have a shot to light the lamp with daily fantasy. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total winnings and prizes with their first deposit. Do that right now with the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
I like that they put the notes for the gambling problems thing in our description on the website, on the podcast, so you don't have to sit and read all the in New York, call this one. In Tennessee,
it got rough there. That one phone number was really hard to read, Rich.
I know. Yeah.
But just when I got good at it, they took it away. Now I don't have to read it anymore.
Yeah, but now you don't have to read it.
By the way,
it was getting really long.
Before we wrap up this episode with our fun things we saw on the interwebs, got a couple good ones on here.
Interwebs.
I've also got to tell one more thing about Tuesday night that was really cool. Remember how we were talking about Jamie Benn and that kind of that questionable dirty hit he had on Forsberg?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, when you're sitting that close behind the benches, again, I've never sat in that part of the arena where I was that close to the players. Like I've sat on the glass before, but never behind the benches like that. And you could really see, you could see Coach Hines and the Dallas Stars coach. Why is his name escaping me right now? Rick Bowness. Yeah, Rick Bowness was right there. I mean, they were right there. Like I could, if I wanted to yell loud enough, they would have heard me. We were that close. And there was a TV timeout, and it was so both teams were skating towards the bench, but they weren't on the bench. They were just you know how during TV timeouts the players kind of hang out at the bench, but they don't sit down. Yep. Tanner Jeannot and Jamie Benn were having some very friendly. I don't even know if it was friendly, but they had some words they were exchanging, and they were both kind of laughing. But it was like a sarcastic kind of laugh. And one thing I will say is Tanner Jeannot is starting to earn the respect around the league from veterans like Jamie Benn, because as much as you don't like Jamie Benn, he was engaging. And I'm sorry, but I don't think Jamie Benn, a player of his stature, would just waste his time engaging during a TV timeout with any player. But he was very much engaging with Tanner Jeannot in that moment. It lasted the entire TV timeout. They were jawing back and forth. Jamie Benn was kind of smirking. Tanner Jeannot was definitely trying to get under his skin. Me and my buddy Clayton were like, they're going to go at it at some time tonight. And they never did, but they were in each other's grill. Like they were like, Tanner Jeannot, he is really he's built that reputation.
That's awesome.
Just this season with players like Jamie Benn.
So Tanner Jeannot kind of outbend Jamie Benn, I guess.
Maybe so, a little bit. It was fun. It was cool to see. It was cool to see. They were. I wasn't close enough to hear them what they were saying exactly. Yeah. I was trying to read lips. I guarantee you there were some words. We try to be a family-oriented podcast, so I'm not going to share some of the words they were saying, reading those lips. But they were definitely having a good time jawing at each other. So I forgot to mention that earlier, and it was funny. It was one of the big takeaways of the night for me, sitting that close.
So I was going to ask you, so you've sat on the glass before and you were behind the bench. Like, do you I've only sat close to a hockey game that close, like one time. Do you like sitting that close to the glass?
So the seats that we had on Tuesday night was like I said, it was the best seats I've ever had. If you're going to sit that close, that's where you want to be sitting because we could see every inch of the ice.
Oh, cool.
We were just high enough to where we were still elevated so that no one was blocking our view.
Oh, good.
And for some reason, no one really stands up that much when you're that low. Like everyone's sitting down, except for when like crazy things happen. But for the most part, everyone's sitting down. I had a very clear view of the entire ice, like you're watching it on TV.
That's cool.
So that was now sitting on the glass when you're in the corner.
Yeah,
it's cool to see them crash right in front of you in the glass, but you can't really see the entire ice. Where we were sitting on Tuesday night, if I had the money to do it, I would get those season tickets in a heartbeat sitting right there. Yes, cool. Right behind the bench like that where you can see the players and the coaches. Oh.
Yep.
Yes.
That's awesome. Very cool.
All right. So let's finish tonight's episode with the fun things we've seen on the interwebs.
Fun things on the interwebs.
First one I'm saying right now, Rich, is actually not fun, but I'm going to list it on here because I think people are going to laugh at my own expense over this. Oh, okay. So as long as I can make other people laugh, it's okay.
Absolutely.
I will go ahead and be very, very honest with people who listen to this podcast. I hate spiders. Don't like them. I have an irrational fear of them. I love animals. I like snakes. I've let snakes I've had a
You're insane. You're a crazy person right now.
I don't mind snakes. I really don't.
Whatever. Okay.
But I hate hate spiders. I call it irrational. I just don't like spiders. If I see one in the house, I'm not trying to save it. That thing is getting smushed as soon as I can smush it. Like I just don't do spiders. If they're outside and they're in a web, and as long as it's not like as long as it's in a web, it's not bothering anything, I'm not going to worry about it. But I saw a headline. Did you see this headline? And then I'll read it right now.
Know.
An invasive species of spider the size of a child's hand is expected to colonize the entire East Coast this spring by parachuting down from the sky, researchers announced. I'm sorry, but what world are we living in right now?
You know they travel around like that. You know that, right? That's how spiders travel around.
Have you seen how big this spider is, Rich?
Well, I mean, it's going to be like as big as your fist almost, right?
It's called a Jolo spider or a something. I don't know. It's really pretty, actually, but I hate spiders.
Yeah. Missy said she had to trap 12 spiders on her ceiling once using a Pepsi box so I could put them outside. Kill them. Spiders don't usually scare me, but I was a little nervous with 12 ones. Here's the thing about spiders.
Missy, you're a better person than me, by the way, because I do love animals, and that's really awesome that you found a way to not kill them.
They're not animals. Here's the thing about a spider. You can kill a spider with your shoe. You would be hard-pressed to kill a snake with your shoe. And that's why I don't like snakes.
For me, snakes just don't bother me.
They will bite you.
It doesn't mean I want the snake in my house. Here's why I don't like spiders. You never know where a spider's at.
That's true.
A spider can get in your clothes. It can get in your bed sheets. Like it can be anywhere. Whereas a snake, I'm pretty sure I'm going to notice if a snake is slithering across my living room floor.
Yeah. You're right.
I don't know. I'm just weird.
But Spider-Verse world, I assume we live in if they're getting big and can parachute. They actually do travel on the wind like that. They shoot their web out a little bit, and the wind catches the web, and they kind of.
Are you talking about this particular?
No. Like spiders in general, I think do that.
All right, but then NPR came out. Sure. So the name of this spider is called the Jarrow Spider, which is Japanese. They are harmless to humans, they say, but this sucker is huge. I don't know how you haven't seen this. This thing, they say that this species of spider likely traveled over here through some type of a crate or a shipment, and they've just been colonizing ever since on the eastern seaboard. And now they're said that they can survive even colder temperatures than they could realize up and down the East Coast.
That's fabulous. Just
And
what
they
we
are
need.
huge.
Is that 2022's version of like the killer bees that were happening?
Murder hornets.
The murder hornets, yeah, those things. I don't think that really ever panned out.
A Jarrow spider can grow to be about 3 inches long, including a large bulbous body with bright yellow stripes. Its underbelly has distinctive red markings, and it weaves large webs and look as if they're spun in golden silk. All of that sounds really pretty, except for the fact that we're talking about a spider.
They need to get smushed. Do you ever? So
I know I'm not crazy about it.
I know you've been camping and stuff before, and like you go hiking early in the morning, and you walk through the woods, and then like a web just like envelops your face.
I've done that before.
Yeah, or like you go 4-wheeling and stuff, and like you're riding along all nice and happy, and then one just wraps around your head. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the worst. Whereas on the flip side, snakes, here's why I'm not afraid of snakes. I used to catch snakes in the creek behind my house all the time.
You're insane.
I would actually, so the creek, when it rained enough, the creek would be deep enough to where I could actually get in and like not swim in it per se, but definitely like get in there and look for stuff. And I used to catch little snakes all the time and carry them by their head. Wouldn't kill them, catch them, bring them to the backyard, let them go.
That's a big fat nope.
Yeah, snakes just don't bother me. Now, of course, you got to be careful with some of the ones around here, especially the copperheads. Those are definitely poisonous. Don't mess with copperheads. Hopefully, you can tell the difference between a copperhead and a non-venomous snake. So there's a lot of ways to be able to tell. We're not going to turn into a nature show right now. But yes, if you do your research on snakes, most snakes you come across, just like spiders, are harmless, and they're just doing their thing out there.
Or just assume that any snake you see is a copperhead and stay away from it.
Well, that's true too.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I just assume, even if it's a black snake, I'm like, oh, that's a cobra. I'm going to stay away from it. Even
fair enough. So you don't like snakes, and I don't do
not like snakes. I don't like spiders, but I'm good with killing spiders.
I'm okay I'm okay with spiders existing. I don't need them parachuting out of the sky with
I don't like that either.
The size of a small child's hand. I don't need that.
Yeah. Oh, Missy said bees are what she's afraid of.
Okay.
I don't mind bees. I don't like wasps. Wasps are just hateful.
Well, no one likes wasps.
They're just hateful. They serve no
purpose. I'll go ahead. I'll give credit to that headline writer because they really knew how to write the perfect headline to scare the crap out of me.
They did.
They made it sound way worse than they made it. They made it sound way worse than it really is, probably. All right.
I remember you tweeting that.
Let's shift back to hockey. I found this really funny. I'm about to laugh at the expense of the Arizona Coyotes. And really, more or less, I'm going to laugh at the expense of the NHL for putting this tweet out. The NHL put a tweet out just 2 days ago saying the Arizona Coyotes are on a heater for the ages right now.
Really? Okay. I would think that the Colorado Avalanche not losing for 2 months straight would be a heater for the ages, but
so the NHL put out a graphic saying 17 goals scored in their last 2 games. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Nice.
But do we really have to use that terminology? A heater for the ages? I'm sorry. I just laughed. I thought it was funny. Thought it was really funny.
Well, they probably got a lot of impressions off that, because I'm sure everybody made fun of them in the comments.
They could have used different terminology. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, just maybe just they're on a heater, or they're on a heater.
They didn't have to. Yeah, the for the ages part. The for the ages part is what got me.
Yeah, for the ages. That's just
all right.
I don't think that's accurate. But
for all we know, the NHL social media manager was also trying to be funny.
Hey, man,
we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
like they were trying to be sarcastic.
They can't even get their referees to be consistent with cross-checking calls. So,
all right, we got one more fun things on the interwebs we saw here.
Yep,
it's also at the expense of the NHL.
Oh, good.
So Ava on Twitter, Ava is actually really funny. This account puts a lot of really funny NHL memes out there and stuff. So everyone needs to go follow Ava. It's at AVATARRANT. Everyone go follow. Really funny stuff regarding the NHL and memes and stuff. But Have you seen the logo of the new logo of the Stanley Cup final playoffs?
I did see it. I did. Yep.
All right.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It looks exactly like the LA Kings logo.
I saw that.
So Ava tweeted out, "Hey, can I copy your homework?" And responded with, "Yeah, just change it up a bit." It's exactly what the NHL did. They copied the homework of the LA Kings when it comes to their logo. It literally looks exactly the same almost.
Not cool, NHL. Not cool.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Everyone go look at it. The new Stanley Cup logo for 2022. It's we know many people in our social circle on Preds Twitter who could have done a much better job on that logo.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
It was a direct copy just about.
All right. So the Preds win 4-1. We appreciate everyone joining us for episode 112. It's been a good one.
Absolutely.
Rich, real quick before we get out of here, give me your final takeaways from tonight's game, Preds Ducks, and then I'll share mine.
Look good. Buzzing. Hate that they ruined Saros' shutout. Looks like the Forsberg-Duchesne combo is picking up steam. Love it. Just good win. Even though Anaheim didn't have some folks, but you know what? They're all professionals, so every win is a win. So,
All right, I agree with all that. The theme I take away from the game is the Preds just did what you want good teams to do: take care of business when you're supposed to win.
Yep.
And we all know that is never a guarantee in this league. We've seen the Preds lose to some pretty bad teams this year, including the Seattle Kraken, including the Buffalo Sabres, including the Chicago Blackhawks, including the Montreal Canadiens. They've lost to some bad teams this year. So it's really nice to see them come up tonight against a very outmatched and undermanned, injury-ravaged Ducks team tonight and just take care of business.
Yep. That's all you got to do.
That's what I'm taking away from this game. I'm not going to go get overly crazy about this game and say that this just suddenly means they're like a different team and they're going to run through the playoffs. It just means that they are, at the very least, taking care of business against some teams they're supposed to beat. And they did it tonight.
Yep. At this point in time, they are taking care of business.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining episode 112. We got a lot of comments in the section tonight, so we appreciate that. Over 120 comments during the live stream. That is awesome. Let's update the poll question one more time before we go. Put a poll question out right before the game. How confident do you feel about the Preds' current roster they rolled out tonight against the Ducks? As far as can they go deep in the playoffs? What's your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10? We are now up to 17% says they're a 1 to a 3 confidence level. 4 to a 6 is 36%. 7 to an 8 is holding strong at 39%. A 9 or a 10 is at 8%. So we've got some pretty confident Preds fans out there with this current roster. So I like to see that. I like the optimism. Everybody, we hope you have a great weekend. Stay safe. Take care. We can't thank you enough for supporting the podcast. We will see you next week for a brand new episode. We hope everyone has an awesome weekend. Take care.
Yep. Have a good one.